I have English friends with whom... Hello. Here we, Lizzie and Kevin, present a dialogic autoethnography on the experiences of a Welsh academic and an English priest living and serving in Wales, a modern Celtic nation with its own language and parliament, the Senedd. Wales's identity is aligned with but separate to the United Kingdom and relates to such cultural elements as music, religion and language. We see a duality of perspectives being diametrically opposed in several ways: female, male, chapel, church, Welsh speaker, Welsh learner. We explore how music has played a part in shaping and nourishing the identities and self-concepts of people within Wales, whether indigenous or incomers. Our stories show music is an important component of Welsh national and personal identity, and reveal complex affiliations, value systems and beliefs. We gain insight into our adoption of cultural practice as a tool for societal acceptance and build upon previous research on the significance of music, language and religion in shaping Welsh society. We explore emic and etic perspectives, national, regional and personal. Whether it is the music of the chapel, rugby songs or the tone poems describing past and present, Wales lives up to its reputation as a land of song, largely based in non-conformist religion. We note that this musical heritage continues even though Welsh society is becoming increasingly secular. The triad of music, language and faith paints a rich picture of Welsh identities and self-concepts. We consider what it means for secular choirs to be guardians of music birthed in non-conformist religious belief, and examine our attitudes and feelings related to music. We find that music and language constantly shape Welsh society, collective and individual identities and self-concept. And now the stories. If you cut me, I will bleed. Like many Welsh people though, you will probably find that my veins also contain rugby and music, especially music. If I'm not listening to it, I'm singing, audibly or silently. I do, after all, come from the land of song. Our national anthem states quite emphatically that Wales is a land of poets and singers. Gwlad beirdd a chantorion.
I'm a Yorkshire-born priest in the church in Wales. I grew up listening to some music, quite eclectic in taste, as I was in Sheffield, the Beat of the Human League and the Pulp. And of course, when we gathered together at community events, the Colliery Band was there. When I moved to Wales, all I knew about Wales was the rugby and the singing. I'm not sure Englishness is identified by song. Welsh might be.
Nature or nurture then? One of my earliest memories is my grandfather, named after the hymnist and bard Elfed, giving me a cuddle, or as we say in Wales, a cwtch, and singing made-up words to an old Welsh hymn tune in a minor key. The Reverend Elfed Lloyd, who would preach blood and thunder from the pulpit in our Welsh congregational chapel, but share laughter and tears with his adoring congregation, the most seminal influence in my life, and undoubtedly responsible for my love of music.
The centre of the chapel is the pulpit. I can imagine Lizzie's grandfather holding forth. There's something about the Welsh lilt that is very musical. My dad used to listen to the Doctor, Martin Lloyd-Jones, every Sunday evening.
I began piano lessons aged 4, and at 6, when the chapel organist was sick, I was drafted in to play an enormous 3-manual pipe organ. I could reach only the lower manual and mastered 4 simple hymn tunes, the staple diet of the congregation, for quite a while. I sang in Sunday and regular school and took part in Eisteddfodau, competitions based around the arts. I now sing with a semi-professional choir with a varied repertoire. I favour songs with a Welsh element. For me, Welsh language is born of music, and the magic of it being set to music is breathtaking. Music gives me a sense of national belonging. It is a very important part of my self-concept.
I've been learning Welsh ever since I arrived in Wales. There's something about speaking and singing in a language that's not your mother tongue that does something to your identity. I realise acutely that my identity is not Welsh, but neither anymore is it English.
I have English friends with whom I attend rugby matches. In Cardiff, there will normally be a male voice choir singing, and it is impossible for me not to join in. I'm on my feet, singing enthusiastically and trying to get my friends to join in too. One envies my passion for being Welsh and having such an identity. You may hear Tom Jones's Delilah being belted out from the stands, or Wales's favourite hymn, Calon Lan, alongside our wonderful national anthem, My Hen Wlad Fy Nhadau, the old land of my fathers. These songs express a national identity, but many singing will be neither religious nor Welsh speaking. Our collective national identity is inextricably linked with the two cultural components of song and rugby, and to our non-conformist religious history. It is possible that Welsh music gives me comfort, not because of the language or the music itself, but because it takes me back to the time when chapel was the centre of my family life, when I felt secure and loved.
I understand what Lizzie's saying about singing, especially when Wales play England at the rugby. But for me now, is it they or is it we? I'm not sure. Not entirely sure. And of course, religious hymns are shared by secular people as well, including my friend Paul, who sings Cumronda at the top of his voice, even though my metaphorical eyebrows raise a little.
I can't separate out music and religion. I don't consider myself to be particularly religious, but my faith, such as it is inextricably linked with and expressed through music. It's the same for many Welsh people. Find any choir in Wales that has no Welsh religious music in its programme, and you have discovered something very rare.
Male voice choirs, of course, follow a particular pattern. Their repertoire transports singers and hearers to times past. Music creates something new. The question is, what sort of Wales is music helping create? On the 22nd of February 2014, I took my oath of obedience in the ancient church of St Cubby in Holyhead to the Lord Bishop of Bangor in Welsh. I stuttered over words that first language Welsh speakers may have struggled with. After the bishop's blessing, we sang a rousing Welsh hymn that I sang almost pitch perfect. You know what? I am used to teaching at university level in English, and yet in Welsh I was stuttering. But when I sang with the other tenors, I was almost home.
Pantyfedwen, a family favourite at funerals. This hymn evokes strong emotions for me, and the rousing chorus can move me to tears. Welsh is a difficult language with some unique sounds. Singing another language is easier than speaking it though, and the confidence that comes from singing with others is significant. Safety in numbers.
I'm a proud Yorkshireman. I was born and grew up in Sheffield. My first recollection of Wales was of Mr. Jenkins. He was my primary school deputy head teacher and led the school choir. He taught me how to enunciate properly, and as I speak, I'm transported back in time to the vowels of the Welsh valleys. Music transports us to a place, a different place, and a healing place.
Good old Mr. Jenkins. Yes, music transports us and is particularly evocative when one is remote from the place or time with which it is associated. Having lived overseas, I have always sought out Welsh societies which have some sort of choir or musical element to them, and this has comforted me and reinforced my identity by linking me with my heritage.
If song helps forge Welsh identity, what sort of identity is it? I realise that I am different in Wales. I'm English. And sometimes I do, to be honest, feel like the colonial oppressor. I am fated as a Welsh learner, and I might at times have just ordered coffee in the coffee shop entirely in Welsh, and as I did earlier this morning, give directions to a farmer entirely in their mother tongue. But I am English, not Welsh. But as a learner, social scientists tell me, rightly I think, that I have a hybrid identity. My status as an outsider, of course, is confirmed. I'm church, not chapel. I'm not a nonconformist, which in Wales is quite important.
The obsession with Wales beating the English is, I feel, taken far more seriously by the English than the Welsh. There are extremes in both camps, but for me it's a bit of fun. Maybe if roles were reversed, I would be more sensitive. It's admirable that you have embraced Welsh culture, Kevin, and thrown yourself into learning a language that many Welsh people are unable or unwilling to learn. As a linguist, I agree with the point about the creation of a new identity of which the learned language is part.
Welsh poetry, Welsh music, Welsh language music are making a comeback. Adwaith, Gweno, Ninebach, and Super Furry Animals, of course, who sing in both Welsh and English. I listen to them all. I am a sponge as it goes in terms of rooting myself in the language, culture, and song of Wales. I sing in a choir, and when I sing, I am almost Welsh. In fact, people say the Welsh vicar or the English vicar who is learning Welsh. I'm different in and through the medium of Cymraeg.
We do become different in espousing different cultures. This fits entirely with Goffman's theatre of life, which explains how we adopt different characteristics according to our audiences. In this way, we each have multiple identities, and evidently music is very much a part of this, especially, it would seem, where Wales and Welsh music is concerned. In Welsh society, music and language appear then to constantly shape collective and individual identities and self-concept. Thank you, or as we say in Wales, diolch.